Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
I think I'm perfectly visible and audible to you.
Yeah, you're absolutely audible to me now.
Okay. Let's start the session. First of all, thank you for giving me this time and opportunity to do the session with you.
Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it.
Yeah, yeah. So, ma'am, the first thing that I want to know is I'm still learning about this UPSC and stuff like that because I'm not an aspirant. What this AGMU to Cadre defines, like there's something special being trained for this particular cadre?
So AGMUT is basically the Union Territory cadre. All the Union Territories are part of AGMUT cadre. AGMUT has its
Hmm.
name from Arunachal, Goa, Mizoram, and the other Union Territories. Three of these are also states, independent
Hmm.
states. The other Union Territories happen to be cities or islands. These are places that are directly under MHA, and we
Ah.
like different people have different states have different cadre controlling authorities. For us, our cadre controlling authority is MHA. Mainly we do our stint in Delhi, but we're also posted to other union territories. They are
Okay.
segregated into the hard areas and the soft areas. The hard areas are the areas which are geographically tough, like let's say Arunachal, Mizoram,
Hmm.
Andamans. These
Hmm.
constitute the hard areas, and the soft areas are Pondicherry, Goa, Chandigarh, Dadar, and Nagar Haveli. Things like that, right? And ultimately, also Delhi. Delhi is the main place where we'll be serving as UT cadre officers. Uh,
Hmm.
so AGMUT for a lot of people is equivalent to Delhi police, which it is not. But because we spend maximum time in Delhi, it is associated to Delhi. Recently, Jammu and Kashmir is also a part of AGMUT because it's been made a union territory. So that will
Hmm.
also be one of the place where we will get an opportunity to work.
As you said, ma'am, it's about hard and soft. It's this particular hard and soft mostly defines about the geographical corners.
So hard area is basically an area which is hard to live in because it is
Oh.
difficult to get there. It's not, the connectivity is a problem. It's far from the
Hmm.
mainland basically. And earlier there were problems of insurgency in these areas, so that was an issue. Plus these are geographically territories which are not similar to the mainland. They have very own culture, and working here is considered to be harder in terms of the terrain, in terms of
Uh,
connectivity, in terms of
uh.
location, everything.
Like, how are you as a person? Like, very introvert or extrovert or selective?
So till college, I think I was extremely extroverted. After coming into services, we have started to become a little selective because as you start working,
Uh,
you tend to go into that phase. But
uh,
by nature, I am an extrovert. I am very
I'm,
much an
but I,
extrovert.
but I'm feeling like you are very strict, you know.
No, now after coming in services, we generally
Uh,
have a little bit of, I don't know, we're trained to be like this after joining services.
okay. So, how was you born and brought up? Like, where you spend the most of your time?
So I was born in Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh.
Hmm.
My father's also in services, so he was posted as additional SP Gwalior when I was
Uh,
born there. And
hmm.
then I spent my childhood in various cities across Madhya Pradesh: Vidisha,
Hmm.
Sagar, Mandsaur, Ujjain, Indore, a lot of cities. And then
Uh,
finally, in my 11th, 12th, my father moved to Bhopal, which was the capital, and he had become quite senior by then. So then, from his DIG phase till his ADG, he was basically posted in Bhopal. So
hmm.
my education from class ninth to my college, I was studying in NIT Bhopal. So for
Hmm.
maximum portion of that time, I was in Bhopal. So I've lived mostly in Bhopal, and I can call Bhopal my hometown uh, based on that.
Okay. So, mostly in childhood, are you that naughty kid or like very strictly on studies?
Yeah, I was a really naughty kid, but it all changed when I came to class 7th, and especially when I moved to Bhopal. I was in a missionary school, an all-girls school, and we had 70 girls in our class, and I was a newcomer
Okay.
and I did not know anyone. So just to get the attention of your teachers, also just to be able to form your identity, the easiest way is to study hard and do well. So then I became like complete opposite. I was like very studious from class ninth. I completely devoted myself to my studies. Also, my grandparents are based in Bhopal, so
Oh.
my grandfather, who's now no more, but he was my teacher. So I used to study maths, physics, all subjects from him, because my father was so busy, he never had time for me or my studies. But my grandfather was always there, and after we moved to Bhopal, he was regularly monitoring my studies. So then I became the very studious and sincere kinds, and was completely into studies. And yeah, so that
So
changed
as you
then.
said, like, you've been to a lot of places. I think you have seen that acclimatization is a very particular thing in this process. Like every time you're shifting, and you need to be adjustable on that particular that zone or area. So how is it for you? Because for your now, like your profession also does the same thing. So how you tackle that?
Yeah, so moving places is a part of our profession now, and it has always been a part of my life because of my father. So initially, it wasn't easy because we had to switch schools and we had to start new, and you were always the newcomer. Nobody knew you, and you were looked with suspicion as a child. That gets to you, and but then
Mm,
my personality really helped me because I was an extrovert and outgoing, and I could make
uh,
friends easily, and I did not have any inhibitions in talking to new people. I could adjust easily, but it changed me a lot as a person because I have become very accommodative over the years of people,
mm,
and like it's very easy for me to talk to people because of this experience that I've had, because I've met so many people throughout my life, and I'm used to going into a new environment, completely new surrounding, and then building my life around it, because it has been
yeah.
a continuous process for me, right? So I think it's given me a lot of exposure, and it
Mm,
has contributed a lot to my personality. And the only shortcoming is that I don't have that, that particular gang or that school friends who you studied with for 12 years that other people get to
mm,
have, or that particular teacher who's taught you for 12 years. I've never had that luxury. Of
mm,
course, I've had friends from school, but very few have stayed with me, right? Because after every single transfer, that time we did not even have social media, so it wasn't that easy to keep in touch.
mm,
And I was moving places, but people were stable, so they had their circles, and eventually my memory would fade away. So that was the hard part, and that was the sad part. But other than that, it just gave me so much exposure, so many experiences. And I think the love that I have for traveling and meeting new people
mm.
and trying different foods and everything comes from there, because I was exposed to so many places as a young child.
Definitely. Like as you were saying that your dad was also a senior officer, as we all know. Uh, some people might think that you got everything on a platter, like it was very spoon feeding for you. But I personally think that everybody has their own struggle. Like हमारी struggle और अंबानी के struggle एक नहीं होता, but struggle तो हर किसी की जिंदगी में होती है. If I ask you like what was your struggle mostly and how you overcame those situations?
Having my father in police services was
Mm,
often a huge advantage, because ever since a child, ever since I was a child, I knew what I wanted to be. Every time he would put on his uniform, I would get inspired, and I would know that this is where I want to be and this is where I want to
uh,
go. So that was certainly a huge advantage, and I can't deny that, because a lot of kids don't, or people don't know till a very long time what they want to do, what is their profession
Mm.
going to be.
Mm.
I was very clear because I'd seen that life, I had lived that life. At the same
Mm.
time, it was difficult because one, I already told you, we were continuously, my father would keep getting transferred. We did not get a very stable education because of that. Secondly, because initially when my father was posted in these small districts, we did not have such
Mm.
great schools also. Like we were,
Yeah.
like it took me a while before I could, when I joined Carmel in Bhopal, I was not comfortable with English so much because I had studied in very small schools and things like that. So, you start getting a lot of complexes within you, whether you'll be able to cope up or not. Are you good enough? Things like that, right? So that self-doubt also happened because of this entire thing. Other than that, the biggest thing was that because my father was himself a police officer, police has no
Mm.
time. You are supposed to be there 24/7. So he
Yeah.
always tried to make time for us, but it was very difficult. Wasn't an
Mm.
easy job. I think I would want to give the credit to my mother because she was a gold medalist and in political science a topper, but
Mm.
she chose to just look after us and raise us because my father was in such a job that he did not have enough time for us. But my mother
Uh,
always made sure that she compensated, she gave us that time because
uh,
you know
uh,
your family becomes your solace. If you keep changing cities like this, your
mm.
family is the only constant thing. So it was my mother and my younger brother, and of course definitely my father, who kept me sane throughout. But at the
Mm.
same time, I think it wasn't an easy journey. It has its own ups and downs. And every time, sometimes my father would get transferred in the middle of a session, so we'd have to go to a new
Mm.
school, and then those schools would insist that you should finish all the copies. Like as kids,
Uh,
no, we were not allowed to attach photocopies or things like that. We had to
uh,
all sit down and write down and cover that, and then there were exams. As kids, it was just too much pressure. And also
yeah.
we could not continue anything. Like if I would like dance or guitar or something, then I had to leave midway because in the new city it may or may not be available.
Mm.
Similarly for
Mm.
sports, if I started badminton or tennis, there weren't badminton or tennis courts everywhere. So that was
Uh,
the difficult part. Like we had to make a lot of sacrifices because we
mm.
did not have that life which a lot of people do have. But we had a lot of other things. And like I said, I had walking inspiration in my house and everything. My father had done such fabulous work. I could always read news about him. I could see people coming to my house thanking him
Mm.
profusely, being so grateful. He was always
Uh,
invited, mostly always invited to my school as chief guest, and all the kids and teachers would look at him in awe and respect, and that just motivated me to the next level, right? I just knew that I have to work hard for this exam. So
mm.
that was the pro, but then the cons I've already told you. And then when I
Uh,
really decided to write the exam, people would think that my father sat me down, taught me everything. All my
yeah.
father told me was that, if you want to be a civil servant, you have to start doing things on your own. So the first
Mm.
step is that you start figuring out your own journey, how you're going to read it. Now the times are completely different, and I can't handhold you or tell you anything. If you want to discuss with me on some issue or some matter, you can come to me
Mm.
always, but I can't
Mm.
spoon feed you anything. And he was also very busy, and it was never possible. So when the whole journey happened, figuring out what to study, whether to join coaching or not, whether to study from home or going to Delhi or not, all these things, right? I had to figure them on my own. And that time I used to
Uh,
hate it. I used to be like, you've already done it. You have an experience. Why don't you just tell me? But now I realize that that helped me grow and take my own decisions. And I had no one to blame or nothing of that sort, right? I only had to build my own path, decide which subject I want to take, decide whether I want to do a coaching or not, what books I want to read, how to go about it. So I
mm.
did it on
Mm.
my own completely. Only the basic guidance that he could give me during the interview, or maybe like about some current affair that we would discuss. That was it. That was what he gave me, which I think any other father would also give you. Like you don't have to be in police to be able to share all this. But the most important thing that he gave me was inspiration. I think inspiration and motivation. And he had a lot of belief in me. Like, he was always so sure that I'd do it. Like, I wasn't so sure of myself. I had so many moments of self-doubt when I did not know whether I'll crack the exam or not and what will happen. He was always very sure of me and always had, like, I don't know, infinite amount of faith in me. So that was the advantage, I would say.
Well, you were saying it, like I saw in between, you just got emotional while saying the thing.
No, I just
Uh,
got flashback of the entire journey, so that's why.
yeah. You know,
Mm.
like when you nowadays sit back, and sometimes we all, due to social media, we all see that friends reunion, friends traveling
Mm.
together. As
Yeah.
you said, no, like एक जगह पे मैं ज़्यादा देर रुक नहीं पाई, तो I cannot make
Mm.
that huge friends for a long term. So when you
Mm.
see this thing, do you miss that कि यार ये भी हो जाता जिंदगी में तो अच्छा?
So I think that way, so here is how I was lucky, because then after my ninth standard, I was in Bhopal, and because we
Hmm,
were living in an officers' colony, I found a
hmm.
lot of bunch of people who were like me, right? The officers' kids
Oh,
who
हाँ.
had had the same journey. So then I
Hmm,
had some wonderful friends, and we used to play basketball together in the colony from ninth grade.
hmm,
So then I found my friends from there, and from then
hmm,
my college happened, and my college was also in Bhopal. So
hmm,
then in Manit, I think I made the best of friends. 4 years, everybody was coming from a new place. There was nothing like
hmm,
school and anything, right? So we were all starting afresh, and engineering college is the great place to make friends, because classes and all, you nobody cares.
hmm,
Everybody studies before exam, and
hmm,
labs and all,
hmm,
practicals you care
hmm,
about, projects you care about. Then there are so many
hmm,
societies in college, you care about those things.
hmm,
So
hmm.
then I could make a lot of friends, and then I could really have that thing that I always missed as a kid. And then again, academy also, you get to make a lot of friends.
Hmm.
Everybody has cleared their exam, achieved their dream, they're absolutely carefree. So during my FC days, as well as in my NPA training days, in NPA we have the squad system. So your squad is like your family. There's a bunch of 17 people who train together, who do everything together, right? From PT to swimming to horse riding to all the attachments and all the traveling, everything happens together. So they become your family automatically. You don't even have to work for it. So over the years, I don't think that I've lost out on that so much. But yeah, initially, yes, I wish I was in that one school, or I had that set of friends. But you can't have everything. Something you get, something you don't get. That's life. So I'm happy now. I'm really in a good place, and I really have a lot of very good friends that I can call at any point of time, and I know they'll be there for me. And same goes for me also. And whenever I go home, because my father's still in services, and he's posted as ADG in Bhopal. So whenever I go home, I have like a whole bunch of friends, because that's where I grew up finally, from my ninth to my college. So now it's there's nothing to resent or feel bad about. I was compensated really well.
Yeah. I think like, I heard a lot of thing about Arunachal, and mostly I Google about videos and places like that. And you are very lucky to be posted that what like, everybody thinks. Like,
Hmm.
आपको अगर पूछूं सबसे खासियत क्या है अरुणाचल की? Like, what's the most beautiful thing you find out here?
I think अरुणाचल में सब कुछ ही बहुत beautiful है. I mean, the people are beautiful, the
Hmm,
terrain is beautiful, we have beautiful forests, clean rivers, and it's a very peaceful place. The people here are like very peace loving and there's I mean, it's an absolute bliss. Like, it's very cut out from the rest of the world, which has
hmm,
both advantages and disadvantages. It's very pristine. It's not being commercialized as of yet. Like a lot of hill stations, like even Shimla, Mussoorie, all these places, because they're well connected, they're frequented by tourists, they've sort of
hmm.
lost their charm, because they've been
Yeah,
extremely commercialized. Mussoorie
yeah,
not so much, but Shimla definitely, I'd say. But with Arunachal, every place, because they were not connected before, now slowly they are getting connected. They've remained their raw beauty. Similarly, for the people of Arunachal, they have kept their cultures alive. They are such simple, beautiful people. They follow all their traditions very seriously. They have their festivals. They are very happy and satisfied in their own life, and they are very different. So I think that that was a huge learning experience for me. How people have remained together like this. Everywhere in Arunachal, there are a bastis, and then there is a particular tribe that's living in that basti, and they stand up for each other like no one else. And they still have their festivals and their parties and hunting and all kinds of things that I've never even imagined existed like those things exist here. So it's been a huge learning experience. And everywhere I go, okay, every place, it's not like you have to go to a one particular place and that will be beautiful, and you'll be like, oh, this is so beautiful, it's a tourist spot. Any place you go, you walk out of the street, you go any place, it's just like scenery, it's like a natural beauty because it's been preserved like this. So I think that is something that I really like about Arunachal. And it was, the people here are very warm and they speak mostly Hindi, because in a lot of northeastern states, even during my Bharat Darshan, we face this issue that people are not so comfortable with outside officers because of the language. But in Arunachal, everyone's very comfortable with Hindi, and they mostly talk to each other also in Hindi, except they have their specific tribe languages that they interact in amongst themselves, but the common language is Hindi. So that also I loved. And they're very patriotic. Every time I'm going in from my car in uniform to for maybe elections or any work, or they'd always salute, the kids would salute, things like that. It's just so sweet, and you don't expect it because people are so misinformed about the people
Yeah.
here, but they're very much patriotic. They're very comfortable with Hindi, and they have given me so much love and warmth. I like, and everybody, even my MP here, once he had invited us for dinner. His wife was personally serving us food, and just she's always treated us like she would be our mother. So that warmth, that hospitality, I think that is something that I love the most about Arunachal. I hadn't seen it before. Like, they are very, very warm, the people here.
What's their special food? Like, what's their most staple food?
So their special food is mithun. Mithun is the center of their society also.
Huh.
It's a sort of mountain buffalo kind of a thing, and I am a
Okay.
vegetarian, so I am not able to, enjoy it. But mithun is what
Hmm.
they really like, and it's the center of their social gatherings and everything. All festivals, marriage ceremonies, religious things, they're all centered
Hmm.
around mithun. Like, they really eat mithun at that point of time. I do love the momos and bamboo shoot things that they
Uh,
cook. For vegetarians,
uh,
that's an option. So, but momos you get in Thukpa, and momos you get in Tawang and Bomdila, and only these places, right? Not the rest of Arunachal so much. So food wise, they have a lot of options for non-vegetarian people, but for vegetarian people, I think one thing that I really enjoy is their local rice. It's a red rice. It's really nice. It's got a very different aroma and taste. Other than that, for vegetarians, not so many options. But my non-vegetarian friends really enjoy the food here. It's very different. They mostly
and
prefer
what about
boiled fruit.
the poha jalebi? मिल जाता है वहीं पे?
Not so much, but because
हाँ.
we are in services, we get staff from
Hmm.
different places. Like, we have, like, my cook is from Assam, or sometimes they're
Hmm.
from Bihar also. So they are able to
Hmm.
make things like these for you. But outside, not so much. Like, they, they don't enjoy or eat all this food
So they don't have
so
that
much.
street food culture.
They they have their street food culture, but it's mostly non-veg that they eat. Like,
Okay.
they have chicken, roasted chicken, and things like that. The street
Hmm.
food, and yeah, not so much chaat and all that. No, chaat, poha, nothing of that sort.
Okay. Okay. So, if I ask you, ma'am, do you remember any situations? It can be professional, personal, or anyway, where everything was against you, nothing was working out, and you took a particular risk to cope up, and things happened. But during this particular process, you also felt certain point of time it's not going to happen. Is there any situations in life like that?
So because well, there have been multiple situations, and then it will take a lot of time. But like the first thing that comes on the top of my head would be my optional. So because a lot of things about me are now defined through the exam that I cracked or managed to crack, and a lot of people would want to listen to me because of that exam. So while preparing for UPSC, initially I am an electrical engineer by
Hmm.
profession and by my qualification. So I took electrical engineering as my optional in my first attempt. My father really pushed me to take it. I was very nervous and I wasn't very comfortable without about it, but he pushed me to take it. Now,
Hmm.
I when I gave my paper, I gave my GS papers in my first attempt in mains,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then when I gave my electrical engineering paper, I just knew that
Huh.
I have really, really messed it up. Like I came home and I was weeping like a baby after my first exam, and I was due to write my paper too. And I knew that it's a lost battle now, in spite of the fact that I had done really well in my essay and GS papers, and I was very confident, that I might just
Hmm.
make it in my first attempt. So when this thing happened, it really affected me. And then my father was still very confident. He was like, no, you did not get enough time to study it. You take it again,
Hmm.
and then you will be able to do it. But then I was like, no, I don't want to take this optional again. I'm done with electrical engineering. I want to take economics because I really enjoy economics. Now the
Hmm.
entire lobby of all the uncles and aunties, or my friend circle, or people who were
Hmm.
preparing with me, or the teachers who had guided me, everybody was like, are you kidding me? You can't take economics. It's such a tough subject. You have no
Hmm.
background in it. There's no coaching for it. There is no test series for it.
Hmm.
It's a technical optional, and even the economics honors people don't take it. Why are you taking
Hmm.
it? And I remember that I went to Delhi to a shop to buy the books. I went to Kumar
Hmm.
Book Depot. The Kumar Book Depot guy also has his son in civil services. He's an IPS officer. So
Oh.
I was casually talking to that Book Depot wale uncle, and
Huh.
he's telling me कि my son's also IPS. Ye wo. Why are you taking economics, madam? It's a very bad optional. You take sociology, you take PubAd. This
Huh.
optional will ruin you. And I was like, but I want to take it. And he's like, madam, iska kuch nahi milega hamare paas. We have no notes. We have nothing of that.
Hmm.
You can
Hmm.
see we have psychology ke notes. Everybody takes it. And I know because he was giving me all this advice because I spent like 2-3 hours in his shop going through all the books, notes. I was just standing and reading things. So he thought कि ये
Hmm.
कुछ अलग टाइप की है, कब से आके खड़ी
Huh.
हुई है. So I
Huh.
was just but then I was like, no, no, I have to do it. I want to take it. Last time I did not listen to my heart. This time I'm just going to listen to
Huh.
my heart. And it was not
Huh.
like I had just taken this decision without any logic or anything. I went through the paper. I had papers, last year papers. I'd seen the syllabus. And only when I thought that I was comfortable with it, that's when I had decided. But as soon as I started studying it, I was like, oh my God, this is a very tough optional. And I
Hmm.
had really underestimated the depth that it requires. And
Hmm.
everybody was absolutely right. I did not get a proper coaching for economics. I found a professor in DU who used to teach. I went to him for a couple of months, but he was really bad. And I just
Huh.
ended up being more confused. And then uh, there was a problem of test series also. There was no test series for economics.
Hmm.
But then I was very adamant that I have to do it. Now that I've taken it, there's no going back. So I used to
Hmm.
study it, and I used to enjoy studying it. But there were multiple times when I thought कि अब नहीं हो पाएगा. And like a
Hmm.
lot of people finish their syllabus of optional way before. They're doing revision, they're doing this, they're doing that. I was struggling till the last day. The day I was giving my economics optional exam, there was still something that I was reading. So,
Hmm.
but eventually I ended up qualifying the exam on economics, right?
Hmm.
Economics is the one thing that got me through. And I scored really well, much better than a lot of people who might have economics background. So,
Huh.
and all this while, there were hundreds of days of self doubt and breaking down absolutely ki, what has happened. Even so, 1 month before the exam, I got really sick. I had acidity, I was vomiting, I was really sick. So my studies were also very affected during that period. And economics, I was like really scared. GS and me essay I had given last year, so I was confident. But economics was my first time, and I had no background, no coaching, nothing, right? It was all on my own. So but then when I because I continued to stick with it, and because I continued to read it, I think it got me through. So when you say 100 things, I think 200 things were against me. My health was not in the best of places. I was very, very scared. My syllabus had not been completed, and I wasn't an easy optional at all. Like at all. I was always like, I had very less time to prepare for GS or other subjects. I was always busy with economics, and still I wasn't sure. Even when I was writing the paper, I wasn't sure. But ultimately, it because I kept persevering, and I kept, because I had taken that decision and I had to stick with it, and I kept going with it, then it ultimately worked for me, right? So I think this is something that would be helpful for people, that even when we clear the exam, it's not like we are 100% sure that we'll clear it, right? We also face the same doubts. We also go through same fears or same struggle like you guys, and we've been there. So just hold on and believe in yourself and believe in your decisions. Like that goes for any job or anything in life. Like if you decided something, then just stick with it.
Do you remember the night before interview and the night after getting the first charge? How was it?
The night before the interview, yeah, I remember it. I couldn't sleep properly. I was very nervous. And unfortunately, we have this system where you're given, as soon as you reach the interview place, you know which number are you, like which position you go for the interview. And you know your board. And I was the last, and I was like, oh my God. And I could barely eat in the morning, and then because I was the last, I could get lunch also in my stomach. So I was really, really worried. But when I entered that interview room and I saw everyone and the way they spoke to me, I just calmed down, I think. But I was really nervous. And then when my results came in, my father was not there. He had gone to Hyderabad for his MCTP mid-career training. It was just me and my mom. And I opened the list, and then I was searching for my name. And I knew that I could just do it, like I could just enter it and search it. But I didn't want to do that. I wanted to go through every name and find out my name. So first page, I didn't find my name. I was like, oh my God. Then second page, again I didn't find my name. I was like, I'd almost started to cry. Okay, because this time I thought that I have done well. Like this time I had hope. Then when I reached the third or fourth page and I found my name, I just cross-checked it 3-4 times with my roll number, if I'm the same Aishwarya Sharma or not. And I couldn't believe it. And my mother started crying, like she started crying loudly. And because, we had been on this journey together. Every sleepless night that I couldn't sleep, my mother also had not slept. Every single time that I couldn't get food in my stomach, she had also not been able to get it. So for her also, it was such a sense of achievement. And then we
This
called my
was your which
father.
attempt?
This was my second attempt. First with
Okay.
economics, but second attempt. One I had given just 2 months after college. Like I had passed out in June and I had given it in August. So
Okay.
that attempt I didn't even want to write. But my father was like, no, you give it. You'll get experience. It's okay if you don't crack it. But somehow I managed to clear prelims that time, and then I managed to write mains. And I will give it to him. It did teach me a lot. Had I just said no, I don't want to give it, I would just want to prepare this year, then I wouldn't have had that experience of giving that exam in that place and that pressure and everything. So yeah, then I cleared. I was 23 when I cleared the exam, same age as my
Pretty
father,
early.
and almost the youngest in my batch. And
Yeah.
but I had enough respect and love for this exam because of the journey. It had not been easy at all, like because of all the health issues also and everything. I was on cloud nine. I was so happy. It was one of the most defining moments in my life. You have such a dream from your childhood, and then when you finally achieve it, for a long time I was just numb, couldn't
Mm.
believe that it has happened. And then yeah,
Yeah.
then though I did not get time, only so many calls, this, that, everything happens. For that day, you're a celebrity, all right. Everybody's calling you, everybody wants your interviews, things like that. So
Okay.
it was a great day.
And the night, and the night, when you got your first independent charge.
Oh, first independent charge. That time I think uh, I was like, okay, I wasn't sure if I'm ready. So I started doing all my preparation. Okay, I'm going to go to this district. What is the population like? What is the crime
Uh,
stat like?
uh,
What is the composition of people? If is there any law and order problem? Are there any upcoming big festivals that I have to prepare for? I
mm,
went in that mode. I called a couple of seniors. I did my probation and then my training as ASP, under training under
mm,
very good officers. One was Abhinav sir, one was Sandeep sir. So then I called Sandeep sir that, sir, I've gotten my first district as SP, and what are the things that you'd like to tell me? And then sir told me a couple of things. I jotted them down, and
mm,
because by that time I had seen 2 3 SPs working, and their style of
mm,
working, I was pretty comfortable, but I was not sure if I'll be able to match up to them because
uh,
of the experience thing. Then I also called my father, and then I was like, what to do? And he was like, go there and figure out yourself. That my father has been completely constant with.
mm,
So
mm,
then that's how I like. But I think talking to Sandeep sir helped me a lot. He just told me that, couple of things he told me that I should just go and do about the welfare of my men, about the crime meetings, about things like that. So
mm,
I had some pointers in my head. I just knew like some brief plan that I could do with. And then once I joined, then it like slowly things just fell in place. Like I learned. You learn over work, like hearing about it or reading about it is very different from actually being there and doing it. So I think
yeah.
maximum learning happens when you're there. None
Okay.
of us
So,
know it from before.
so as you were saying that slowly I learned the thing. So, being your profession, I don't think like anybody's profession, everybody's not, every day is not the same. Like there might be some days, uh, like you are not feeling well and everything is no, like not working out. So
Hmm.
when you
Hmm.
come home, what is your main go-to settle down yourself? Like some
Hmm.
people say we play guitar, some say we watch movies, we go for a drive. So what is your way?
I think it completely depends on my mood. Some days just FaceTiming with my parents, my mother and father is good enough.
Huh.
Some days I want to read a book and forget about everything. Some days just watching some nice things on Netflix if I have time and internet,
Huh.
then that is there. A lot of days during preparation and even now, watching Friends and Big Bang Theory has helped me so much because it completely takes you to a
Huh.
different zone. And reading, I'm really fond of reading. So and I
Huh.
really like crime and mystery thrillers. So then I just pick up that book and then I'm completely lost in that book. And until I finish it, I'm just stuck there. So that it just takes my mind off. Some days it's just talking to my friends or watching a movie or
Huh.
simple things, going for a walk or a run. Because I've realized over time that running or walking or exercising is also a great way to completely de-stress yourself, especially in our job. So being fit
Huh.
is so important. So that, yeah, any of these, it completely depends on the mood. There's not just one thing. I do multiple things. Sometimes it's just listening to good songs or
Huh.
anything can work. Sometimes I paint also. I'm not a good painter or anything, but sometimes I
Yeah.
paint just to let go of things and give vent to things. Anything
Yeah.
that works. Yeah.
Okay. So I won't take much of your time. There's a last
Mm.
question. Uh, do you believe in human mapping, ma'am? Human mapping in the sense I'm talking about.
Mm.
We get to meet so many people, and everybody has a different characteristics or a different character. So, do you do that face reading, especially, and like I think this also helps certain part of time in your policing also, or as a personal level, do you do it?
So initially, I did not do it so much, but over time and with experience, because even when I was posted as SDPO, there used to be like almost 40-50 visitors on a daily basis, and people have complaints. Some of them are genuine complaints, some of them are fake complaints, some of them are blackmailers, some of them have this ability to blackmail the police only. They'll complain of policemen that they take this, they take this, and then ultimately they are benefiting in some way. So initially I used to be affected by everyone. Like, if a lady is coming and crying and telling me that this has happened and the husband has beat her up and the in-laws are harassing us, then the first thought would be like, oh my god, what to do and how to help this lady. But then when you meet the other side, you just realize that, oh, maybe this lady is herself at fault. So that only happens when you've had those experiences, when you've met all kinds of people. That's when you're able to have a rough picture in your head. Similarly, criminal minded people, the people who do it discipline, and then nowadays because of social media, first they'll flout the rules and all, and if you go on and scold them, then they'll just defame you only, that as police you were misbehaving, you were manhandling. So now it is very important for us to figure out who is who, which person has what nuisance value, which person is genuine, which person is uh, actually facing a problem and vulnerable, and which person is just trying to use you to further his ends. So now it happens naturally. Like now, if now, like I said, now my personality has gradually evolved over the years. Earlier I was, when I say introvert, I used to just talk anything with anyone, have no inhibitions. But now when we are in services, we have a lot of responsibilities, and it's not an easy job. One slip and everybody targets you, be it the media, be it the pressure groups, be it the political parties, be it anybody, right? And I think it happens in most of the jobs, but a lot in ours, because ours is like, I mean, somebody had told me that you're like a fish in a fish bowl. Everybody's watching you from all corners. As a police officer, you're very much there on the field. So with that, we have to learn this art. It is essential for our survival. Like, we have to map people. We have to understand whether they're genuine or not, and to be able to help out genuine cases also. Because see, the thing is, we get a lot of complaints. As when I was SHO in Karveer police station, every other day, some village person would come and say that my daughter has been kidnapped, or wo bhag gayi hai, or things like that, and she may have an affair in this. And later when we, and that she's a minor, and later when we find the girl and the guy, then they would say that we have consensual marriage and we've married, and we are above 18, and they'd give certificates, and then we'd feel like the entire exercise was futile. But on top of these 50 cases of this elopement, there would be one genuine case where a girl has actually been kidnapped. Now she may be actually trafficked. So understanding this is very important, and it comes with experience, finding out the genuine people. So now face reading is very much a part of my personality. Like, I meet a person and I meet how they talk, how they walk, the surroundings, and now it will come naturally to me, like
Now you
without
became a
even
pro.
wanting it. No, I'm not a pro, I'm still learning, but I've become much better to what I was. Like, matlab, now I still, a lot of times I'm not able to understand. Other times I think I'm able to understand.
Uh, okay, okay. I think there is some technical glitch. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, now I can hear you, I think.
Okay,
I wasn't
okay.
able to
So
hear you
like,
before.
no, I was just telling, like, now you have learned that that so-called face mapping thing particularly.
Yeah, now I'm more experienced in face mapping than I was before. Definitely.
So I have a self-obsessed question. What do you feel like talking to me?
I don't think that I did not analyze you from that. I mean, I was just
Uh,
focused on your questions so much, not your personality. But I just, one thing that I really, you are very intuitive and very curious. That's something that I saw in you. You have a very curious mind, and also I think you want to break from the stereotypes, and create your own niche in the world. I mean, you were
Yeah.
one of those people. I mean, that's my assessment. I could be right or could be wrong. And I like I said, I wasn't analyzing you so much because I was more focused on the questions and, if internet and all kinds of things because of your live session. But yeah, this is what I could figure.
मैम थैंक यू सो मच. इतने दिनों से जो मैं मेहनत कर रहा था ना, आज पहली बार किसी ने समझा व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू डू विद द पॉडकास्ट.
नहीं. I'm
Actually, you know what,
I'm
ma'am,
turning.
like,
I'm getting better.
you know what, ma'am, like, as I said, like, I'm not an aspirant and I'm still learning this thing. But जब मैंने शुरू किया था, I used to feel very bad about a particular thing. Like, there's a motto has been created, like, not only I do with the bureaucrats, I also do with the pilots and also other people. Like, abhi kuch der pehle I was doing a session with the director of Maharani. So, like, for this thing, I have felt like एक ना वो थब्बा लग गया, like, somebody is a bureaucrat, just ask questions related to UPSC या कोई criminal वाला scene है, वो बता दो. But why can't we talk normal things? Why can't we, like, share experiences? Because you all faced a lot of things in life, and our youth can learn from that. That I feel. I'm trying that through my podcast.
No, I agree, and I think I think everything is important. See, why we would want to talk about UPSC or policing is that because we think that we have done something, we have some credibility to talk about these things, and with that credibility, also some sort of responsibility, because when I was on the other side and when I was preparing and I would want to ask questions about this, then I would want to hear from the people who have actually done it. You only have faith in people who are on the other side. So I think this is important in its own way. A lot of people find strength, motivation and direction when they hear us talk about UPSC. Same goes for policing. But yeah, it's equally important to talk about other traits of personality also. And the thing is that these are all unexplored things, and slowly people are also looking at it like that. Earlier they were, because you see, we live in a very competitive world and there's so much rat race. So everybody's very focused on this aspect, right? That clearing the exam, how to clear exam, there's so much less time, and even if they're listening to some topper or something, they just want to take information that would be helpful in their preparation. So I think it could be because of that. Having said that, yeah, it is equally important to focus on all aspects of personality. Even in interview, they would want that.
Thank you so much for giving this time and opportunity. Please take care and have a nice day.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you so much. Bye bye.